When people think of a city that the world's rich flock towards, Dubai is often near the top of the list, alongside places like Monaco and New York City. The United Arab Emirates city has been a haven for the uber-wealthy for decades since the country began selling off their oil. Today, we're going to see why the rich are living in the UAE's most populous city. We'll examine the billionaires that call Dubai home and their net worths, where the wealthiest areas of the city are, and some of the unique luxuries Dubai has to offer. So, let's get started. Prior to oil being discovered in the area during the 1960s, Dubai was a simple fishing village. After finding the black gold, it soon became a metropolis of wealth. Since there's a finite amount of oil, Dubai has focused on tourism for their future income, especially for those with large bank accounts. One area to help with tourism was creating unique structures, such as the current tallest building in the world at 2,722 feet, the Burj Khalifa, which cost around $1.5 billion to build. During 2020, the New World Wealth released their findings about Dubai. They discovered that 51,710 millionaires and 9 billionaires living there owned assets totaling $491 billion. In February 2021, the NWW figure stated that number had jumped to $517 billion between 54,530 millionaires and 10 billionaires. From 2000 to 2019, 38,000 millionaires moved to the UAE as a whole. One of the richest people that has an abode in Dubai is Majid Al Futtaim. He's the founder of the retail conglomerate that bears his own name, the Majid Al Futtaim Group. At the time of writing, according to Forbes, Al Futtaim and his family have a net worth of $3.7 billion, while his cousin Abdullah Al Futtaim, who founded the Al Futtaim Group, has a net worth of $2.2 billion. Back in 2016, brothers Divyank and Bhavin Turkaya sold their India-based advertising network, Media.net, for $900 million. That year, the company brought in sales totaling $232 million. While Bhavin stayed on to help run Media.net, Divyank walked away. He's reported to currently reside in Dubai. According to Forbes, the brothers have a collective net worth of $1.54 billion. Famously, before taking the plunge in business, Mickey Jagtiani drove a taxi in London, England. After running a successful baby product shop, Jagtiani founded the Landmark Group during 1973 in Dubai. Currently, the company owns over 2,300 stores across 22 countries. As such, Jagtiani has a net worth of $3.6 billion. During 2019, the New World Wealth looked into cities that had the most wealthy people. So, Dubai was examined. For context, HNWI stands for High Net Worth Individual. When looking into the reason for Dubai's popularity with the rich, the group stated, quote, "Dubai, the top financial center in the Middle East, is also one of the safest cities in the region, and a popular destination for migrating HNWIs and wealthy expats," unquote. One of the main draws to Dubai is the fact that there's no income tax. Whilst in New York, for example, depending on the income, a person can be charged between 4 to 10.9%. Dubai is also a transport hub, making it easier for people to reach meetings in other countries. Other pros include a good school system, vibrant social life, and many job opportunities. Plus, the warm weather is always nice. Ziad Dananu, president of Safanad, spoke to the Financial Times. Prior to the global events, Dananu could travel across the world when needed. Once the event kicked in, Dananu was stuck in Lebanon and cut off from the global market. So, he moved his family to Dubai. When asked why, he stated, quote, "It is safe and open. Dubai has the right kind of leadership, very proactive and robust with quick decision-making and an unwavering commitment to functioning infrastructure," unquote. Dubai was opened back up for tourists in July 2020. A number of rich people flew to Dubai in order to skip the vaccination queues in their countries. According to reports, these trips often include first-class flights, accommodation, and 2 doses of the vaccine. These trips started from £40,000, around $56,000. Yet, due to this influx of people, the housing prices in the city ended up skyrocketing. According to UAE Realtors Property Finder, during the first quarter of 2021, sales of Dubai's properties increased by 230%, while in some of the rich areas of the city, prices increased by as much as 40% from the same time last year. According to Dubai company Property Monitor, during April 2021, a record-breaking 90 properties worth 10 million United Arab Emirates dirham, around $2.7 million, each changed hands. Whilst in March, there were 84 similar sales. For an idea of scale, during the whole of 2020, only 54 similar priced sales were completed. However, mid-level properties are still seeing their value decrease. Back in 2013, on average, sales for abodes in the Burj Khalifa were $1,300 per square foot. In May 2021, it was $400. UK real estate company Knight Frank reported that between January 2021 to April, there were over 15,000 property transactions in Dubai alone, a 34.5% rise in the same period during 2020. One of the most popular places for the wealthy to live within Dubai is the Palm Jumeirah. The artificial archipelago contains a number of luxury hotels, such as Atlantis the Palm, the Fairmont Palm Hotel and Resort, and so on. It's also the place for decadent houses. In March 2021, a 14,000 square foot mansion was the most expensive home sold in the Middle East so far this year. With 5 bedrooms, it also has 3 cinemas, 3 kitchens, 3 bars, a fitness suite, a spa, and more. It sold for 111.25 million AED, around $30.2 million. According to Property Finder, the average sale price for 3-bedroom villas has also increased within Palm Jumeirah. In December 2019, it was 4.2 million AED, around $1.14 million. For April 2021, the average transaction price was at 11.5 million AED, or $3.13 million. Dubai has a number of luxury attractions for tourists. Usually, when we order groceries online, they'll be delivered in a van covered with the shop's name. Well, in Dubai, one store is using a Lamborghini instead. The Pakistan supermarket uses a 1.2 million AED, around $330,000, Huracan Spider to drop off mangoes. Shoppers have to spend at least 100 AED, about $27, on the fruit. They can even have a short trip in the supercar. The mango in a Lambo service has been very popular with kids. Celebrities such as British boxer Amir Khan have recently enjoyed the stylish dropping off of goods. At one point, Dubai hosted a couple of ATMs that spat out gold bars. Gold is a big industry in Dubai. During 2003, the city's gold trade totaled $6 billion. By 2013, nearly 40% of the world's gold was traded through Dubai. Altogether, this totaled $75 billion that year. Dubai's police force has perhaps the most stylish, luxurious fleet of vehicles in their arsenal. Many of the supercars turned cop cars have become popular with tourists. Such vehicles include an Aston Martin 177 priced at over $1.79 million, a Lamborghini Aventador priced upwards of $440,000, and a Ferrari FF from $300,000. They even have a Hoversurf Scorpion 3 hoverbike that costs $150,000. While China and the United States have been battling it out on who houses the most billionaires, quietly over the years, India has been ranking in more and more members into the uber-elite class. Yet, at the same time, the wealth gap between the rich and the average Indian citizen is increasing. But what is life like for the rich in the Asian country? Well, that's what we're going to explore today. We'll examine the perks and struggles of holding a fortune in India, and we'll see some of the most exorbitant purchases that have taken place in India. So, let's get started. Between 2010 to 2017, India was reportedly adding a new billionaire into their ranks every 33 days on average. Back in 2000, the nation had only 9 billionaires. In 2017, the nation had 101 billionaires residing within. According to Forbes' most recent look at countries with the most billionaires, India now has 140 billionaires. This figure puts them in 3rd place in the world rankings, beating Germany, which has 136 billionaires. At the time of the list being published, India's richest held a collective $596 billion between them. This was a 90% increase from the previous year when it was $313 billion. The person that tops India's richest list is Mukesh Ambani. He made his fortune being the majority shareholder and chairman of the conglomerate Reliance Industries. The company also created one of the country's biggest telecommunication companies, Jio. Due to all this, at the time of writing, Ambani has an estimated net worth of $79.7 billion, making him the richest person in India and in all of Asia. Currently, the second richest person in India is Gautam Adani and his family. The majority of his fortune stems from being the founder and chairman of Adani Group. He also owns the coal mine Abbot Point, Mundra Port, and has a 74% stake in Mumbai International Airport. At the time of writing, he and his family have an estimated net worth of $55.9 billion. The industrialist Shiv Nadar made his cash from co-founding the IT firm HCL Technologies. Like Jeff Bezos' Amazon, HCL was also created in a garage. Due to forming HCL, Nadar is currently the third richest person in India. At the time of writing, he has a net worth of $25.6 billion. On top of his business acumen, Nadar has also funneled a reported $662 million into his Shiv Nadar Foundation. The rich in India are seemingly looking to leave the country. In 2015, it was discovered by New World Wealth that India had the second highest number of millionaires leaving their country. Number 1 was China. Between 2000 and 2014, 61,000 of India's top earners had moved abroad. The favored nations to move to include the US, the UK, Australia, and the UAE. The reasons for leaving stem from security concerns, tax increases, and the desire for better education possibilities for their children. In 2019, 7,000 millionaires left the country for newer pastures. The citizen residency advisory firm Henley & Partners claimed in February 2021 that Indian nationals were the most active in inquiring with them on such programs as citizenship by investment or residence by investment. This is essentially when a person will receive citizenship or permission to reside within a country in exchange for financial investment of some kind. The top countries that Indians thought about going to include Canada, Portugal, and Austria. One of the most popular packages in Europe is the Portugal Golden Residence Permit Program. As long as a person spends at least 350,000 euros, around $412,000 on real estate, they will gain a residency permit. As for the expensive items that India's richest have splashed the cash on, we first have Antilia Tower. It's billed as the most expensive home in the world. So with a title like that, of course it's the home of the richest Indian national, Mukesh Ambani. With 27 stories, the tower was constructed in 2010 and overlooks the city of Mumbai. Some features include 3 helipads, a 50-seat cinema, 9 elevators, and a grand ballroom. According to one of the architects on the project, the construction cost nearly $2 billion. Yet there's been claims of it being as high as $5 billion. In 2010, for 1 month, it was discovered that the electricity bill was a massive $109,000. When people from loaded families get married, they like to go all out when it comes to their special day. In 2016, Brahmani, the daughter of Gali Janardana Reddy, was getting married, so they held a 5-day lavish wedding. Altogether, the event reportedly cost around $74 million. This drew the ire of Indian citizens as this happened during a cash flow crisis. Brahmani's sari is said to have cost $2.5 million, while the jewelry she wore amounted to $13 million. Then in 2018, there was the Ambani Piramal wedding. Isha, the daughter of Mukesh Ambani, married Anand, the son of billionaire Ajay Piramal. A number of celebrities were guests, including Hillary Clinton, Deepika Padukone, and Sachin Tendulkar. Even Beyoncé was there to perform. There were reports that the wedding cost up to $100 million, while others claim it was closer to $15 million. Private jets have always been a favorite toy amongst billionaires. In 2015, consulting firm Frost & Sullivan claimed that 12% of the world's private plane market was made up of Indian nationals. In that same year, around 142 planes were estimated to be owned by Indians. According to reports, some of these jets went up to $310 million in value. Canadian plane creators Bombardier estimated to deliver 1,215 planes to India between 2014 to 2033. The managing director and chairman of the Raymond Group, Gautam Singhania, had his net worth estimated as high as $1.4 billion in his career. He happens to be one such billionaire that has a plane. In 2016, he reportedly owned a Bombardier Challenger 600. At the time, these jets cost up to $21 million. While the affluent in India are getting richer, the wealth isn't exactly trickling down to the average citizen. In fact, all the extra capital for the billionaires has actually increased the inequality gap. In 2018, Oxfam examined the growing divide in India. They found that the top 10% of the country's wealthiest controlled 77% of the total national wealth, with 73% of the wealth generated going to the top 1%. While the poorest half of the population only saw their wealth increase by 1%. Oxfam found that for a minimum wage worker in rural India to reach the yearly salary of a highly paid executive, it would take that worker 941 years. After all, the lowest paid citizens often make less than $5 per day. The recent global situation has worked in India's billionaires' favor. In the space of a year from 2020 to 2021, a number of wealthy had their net worths increase massively. Mukesh Ambani's reportedly rose as much as $15 billion, while Gautam Adani's net worth increased by $13 billion. By the end of 2020, the top 1% of earners reportedly controlled 40.5% of the nation's wealth, a rise of 7% from 2000, according to Credit Suisse. When people think of the wealthiest nations in the Middle East, often their first thought will be of Saudi Arabia. After all, the oil-rich country has seemingly created many billionaires within their land. Whilst this is true, there's also a lot more going on under the surface. Today, we're going to see what life is like for the uber-wealthy in the Asian nation. We'll see the vast assets of the royal family, the over-the-top purchases by the affluent, such as multiple gold cars, as well as the details behind the nation infamously detaining billionaires in 2017. So, let's get started. We can't talk about the richest folk in Saudi Arabia without mentioning the royal family. The king is currently Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, also known as Salman of Saudi Arabia. The title of Crown Prince, the second most prestigious title, is held by Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud. According to the House of Saud, the official name of the royal family, the family has had a collective net worth of $1.4 trillion since 2018. For perspective, also in the same year, the British royal family had a combined net worth of $88 billion. Beyond the royal family, one of the Middle East's wealthiest is Mohammed Hussein Al Amaudi. Born in Ethiopia, he began amassing his fortune from construction projects in Saudi Arabia. He then began purchasing oil refineries across many countries, including Sweden and Morocco. Al Amaudi is also involved in gold mining, agriculture, food production, and more. So this has given him an estimated net worth at the time of writing of $8.3 billion. Another billionaire living within Saudi Arabia is Mohammed bin Isa Al Jaber. He is the founder and CEO of the MBI Group. They own a host of companies, including JJW Hotels and Resorts, which own luxury and budget hotels across Europe and Africa. At the time of writing, he's believed to have a net worth of $9 billion. The wealthy in the Middle Eastern country have regularly made headlines with their extravagant purchases. One object that the rich in general like to get is a car collection to make people drool. Going further, Turki bin Abdullah, one of the youngest members of the extended Saudi royal family, decided to get a gold car collection. Each of the luxury vehicles is plated with the pricey substance. In 2017, he had a Mercedes, a Jeep, a Lamborghini Aventador, a Rolls-Royce, and a Bentley Flying Spur, all gold. A standard Lamborghini Aventador in 2017 had a manufacturer's suggested retail price of up to $535,000. Just his base cars are estimated to cost upwards of $2 million together. Paintings are also a must-have for the billionaires in the country. In 2017, the artwork Salvator Mundi by Leonardo da Vinci went up for auction at Christie's, New York. It sold for a record $450.3 million. It was purchased by the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The artwork was set to go on display at Paris's Louvre Gallery in 2018. However, it was cancelled at the last minute. Instead, the painting was reportedly moved on board bin Salman's private yacht, the Serene. Speaking of, sailing the seas is another beloved pastime of the wealthy, and the billionaires in Saudi Arabia are no exception. In 2011, the Serene was delivered to Russian vodka tycoon Yuri Shefler. He reportedly spent $330 million for it. At the time, the 439-foot-long Serene was one of the longest private yachts around. Bill Gates even chartered the vessel for the price of $5 million per week at one point. In 2015, bin Salman fell in love with the boat, so he splashed out around $550 million for it. But the life of a billionaire in Saudi Arabia isn't all fast golden cars and pricey boats. In 2017, what's known as the Saudi Arabian Purge got underway. It officially ended in 2019. A host of princes, business leaders, and government ministers were all arrested. This was due to an anti-corruption investigation that had formed only a few weeks prior. It was led by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Private planes were even grounded to stop those looking to leave the country, while over 2,000 bank accounts were frozen. Altogether, around 500 people were detained over this period. The Ritz-Carlton Hotel in the capital city of Riyadh was evacuated of residents before being used to house the detainees, many of which spoke about their harsh treatment when under arrest. The Saudi authorities believed that $800 billion was used for corruption. In the end, they managed to get back $106 billion from settlements with detainees. Prince Miteb bin Abdullah, who up until 2017 served as the head of the National Guard, was reportedly released after paying more than $1 billion for his settlement. Due to the incident, Forbes decided to no longer showcase Saudi Arabian residents on their richest list from 2018 onwards. One of those that was also arrested was Prince Al-Walid bin Talal. He was well known as a billionaire investor and was often compared to Warren Buffett. While a part of the royal family, he often held views that they didn't, such as stating that women should drive in the country long before it came into effect. One of the companies he founded, Kingdom Holding Company, at the time of writing has a market cap value of $39.06 billion. In 2015, bin Talal announced his intention to donate his entire fortune to charity over the coming years. At the time, this was believed to be $32 billion. It wasn't until January 2018 when bin Talal was released from detention. Only a month prior, the Wall Street Journal claimed that the cost to release the billionaire was set for at least $6 billion. It's unconfirmed whether this amount was actually paid in the settlement or not. Just before being arrested, bin Talal's net worth was estimated by Forbes to be $18 billion. Saudi Arabia has a reputation of being an incredibly wealthy country. Yet, in reality, that's not the case for the average citizen. This is surprising when the nation has natural resources worth a massive $34.4 trillion. In 2013, Saudi Arabia had stated that the poverty line for the people was less than around $530 a month. At the time, it was estimated that between 2 to 4 million people were earning less than this. The Saudi government doesn't release the exact figures. As such, outside groups have had to make educated estimates. Only the year prior, the nation had brought in around $300 billion from its oil industry. The number of those in poverty increased during the recent global events when the unemployment rate reached 15.4%. But the authorities have been trying to combat this growing problem. The king during 2012, Abdullah bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, promised a cash injection for various projects to help offset this widening poverty gap. He stated that $37 billion would be spent on programs such as housing, wage increases, and unemployment benefits, among others. There were also plans to create numerous economic cities for citizens to work and live within. Final fact finish. Back in 2013, construction on the Jeddah Tower got underway. It was set to be at least 1,000 meters, around 3,280 feet tall, making it the biggest in the world. However, due to the infamous Saudi Arabia purge, construction has been postponed since 2018. As of yet, only a third of the tower has been put together. Originally, the structure was slated to cost $1.23 billion. When you think about billionaires, you probably think of Silicon Valley or Dubai, but you may be surprised to learn that Africa is quickly rising up the ranks. The continent is experiencing exponential economic growth, and billionaires are popping up left and right. Massive infrastructure projects, vast oil reserves, and extremely productive diamond mines are some of the reasons why several African businessmen are becoming ultra-wealthy. With that wealth comes excess, and often at the expense of the continent's poorer class. Today, we'll take a look at Africa's richest people and how they live. We'll also look at some of the most exorbitant purchases made by Africa's elite. Are you ready? Africa is gaining billionaires at a rapid pace. There are now 18 billionaires living on the continent. That's down slightly from a peak of 23 billionaires in 2018, but up significantly since the year 2000. At the turn of the century, Africa had no billionaires at all. The 15 richest people in Africa have a combined net worth of $76 billion. That might not seem like a lot considering Elon Musk is worth more than twice that, but Africa is filled with countries that are growing at a rapid pace. South Sudan, Libya, and Rwanda are the three fastest growing economies in the world. It's only a matter of time before these countries start producing billionaires. Oh, by the way, we know Elon Musk is originally from South Africa, but he hasn't lived there since the 80s, so he's not really an African billionaire. According to Forbes' most recent list of countries with the most billionaires, South Africa ranked 39th with 4 billionaires, while Nigeria ranked 44th with 3 billionaires. Expect those countries to climb up the list in the next few years, as Nigeria is Africa's top oil and gas producer, while South Africa is one of the continent's top diamond producers. The richest person in Africa is Nigerian business magnate Aliko Dangote. At the time of producing this video, he had a net worth of $12.4 billion. That's 30% more than he was worth in 2020. The cause for this rise in wealth? Dangote Cement's share price. He founded the multinational cement manufacturer, and it's still his largest holding. At the time of producing this video, the company had a market cap of 4.17 trillion Nigerian naira. Converted to US currency, that's more than $10 billion. Africa's massive infrastructure projects are making Dangote extremely wealthy. Africa's second richest person is Egyptian businessman Nassef Onsi Sawiris. At the time of producing this video, Sawiris had a net worth of $8.5 billion. He inherited his massive fortune from his father, who founded Orascom Construction. He's now the CEO of Orascom as well as a supervisory director at Adidas. Yes, that Adidas. He owns a significant stake in the German sportswear manufacturer. Every time you buy a pair of Ultra Boosts, Sawiris' wallet gets a little bit fatter. Africa's third richest person, Nicky Oppenheimer, made his fortune from diamonds. He was formerly the chairman of De Beers Mining Company, and in 2012, he sold his family's 40% stake in the mining conglomerate for $5.1 billion. At the time of producing this video, Oppenheimer had a net worth of $8 billion. South African entrepreneur Johan Peter Rupert made his incredible fortune from luxury fashion. He's the heir and chairman of Switzerland-based luxury goods company Richemont. You might not have heard of Richemont, but it's actually the world's largest luxury watchmaker. Richemont owns incredibly popular brands like Cartier and Chloe. At the time of producing this video, Rupert had a net worth of $7.2 billion. Africa's billionaires live in sprawling urban metropolises like Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Lagos. More specifically, they live in ritzy and flashy upscale neighborhoods. Cape Town, South Africa is home to exclusive suburbs like Clifton, Bantry Bay, Fresnay, Ladudno, Camps Bay, Bishop's Court, and Constantia. These coastal neighborhoods are filled with luxurious beach homes that are simply out of reach for regular folks. If you combine the net worths of all of Cape Town's residents, you get a staggering figure, $123 billion. Johannesburg is not only the wealthiest city in South Africa, it's also the wealthiest on the entire continent. It's home to Africa's largest stock exchange, JSE Limited, as well as numerous other businesses revolving around the financial sector. The total wealth of all of Johannesburg's residents is $226 billion. Lagos, Nigeria, which is the fourth wealthiest city in Africa, has a similarly high total wealth figure of $88 billion. Lagos is where you'll find the corporate offices of major oil and gas companies, as well as luxurious mansions in upscale neighborhoods like Ikoyi and Victoria Island. Africa's billionaires have no problem throwing around their money. There are mansions in Africa that will absolutely blow your mind. The most expensive house in Africa is owned by the Famfa Oil Vice Chair, Folorunsho Alakija, who at the time of producing this video had a net worth of $1.4 billion. Her incredible $700 million mansion is located in the most affluent neighborhood in Lagos and has state-of-the-art security systems and bulletproof glass. Then there's Palazzo Steyn, the $16.7 million estate owned by Dow and Carolyn Stein. Many have called it the most luxurious mansion in Africa. The stunning 32,000 square foot villa is one of the most expensive homes in South Africa, and it's filled with luxurious features like a solid marble Carrera staircase and a crystal chandelier that was originally hanging in the historic Café Royal in London. The mansion even has its own aqueducts, making it seem like an ancient Roman Colosseum. The home has an indoor pool, gym, and a room called the Purple Lounge, which houses an extraordinary grand piano. The ceilings of the mansion are lined with gold leaf, and the home's exquisite library is reminiscent of one you would find in Hogwarts Castle. At the time of producing this video, the Steins were worth $2.8 billion. It's no wonder why they can afford such a lavish home. Aliko Dangote is so rich that he could easily leave Nigeria and live anywhere in the world, but that's simply not his style. He prefers to stay in his home country. All of his homes, including his $30 million mega mansion, are in Nigeria. He doesn't even own a holiday home abroad. Inside Dangote's primary residence, you'll find an elegant living room filled with expensive marble sculptures and valuable paintings. The hallways of Dangote's mansion have marble floors with gold inlays, and opulent crystal chandeliers can be found in both his sitting room and dining room. Dangote uses his mansion for more than relaxation. He also holds business meetings there and has hosted dignitaries like Bill Gates and former Nigerian President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. He also owns a $45 million Bombardier's Global Express XRS. The private jet was delivered to Murtala Muhammad International Airport in Lagos on Dangote's 53rd birthday. What billionaire could function without a private jet? Dangote owns a number of extremely expensive supercars too, including a Maybach 57S worth $1 million and a Bugatti Veyron worth $2 million. The level of global extreme poverty has declined significantly since 1990. However, 1 in 3 Africans still live below the global poverty line. Africa's 3 richest people have more money than 650 million of the continent's poorest people combined, and the wealth gap in South Africa remains unchanged since the day of apartheid. The top 20% of the population in South Africa holds 68% of the country's income. The poverty rate in sub-Saharan Africa has not fallen fast enough to keep up with population growth in the region, which is why there are still at least 433 million Africans living in extreme poverty.
The proud nation of Nigeria is home to 8 billionaires. Let's snoop around some of their lives. The name Aliko Dangote is synonymous with wealth in Africa, as in 2022 his net worth of $14.1 billion makes him the richest man of all of Nigeria's 214 million plus inhabitants. It also makes him the richest man in all of the continent of Africa's 1.3 billion residents. At his peak, he was number 23 in all the world back in 2014, but the Billionaires' Game of Thrones has bespoke suit-wearing fat cats sliding up and down the rankings like cryptocurrency values. His Midas touch-blessed paws have their hands wrapped firmly around the throats of the oil and gas industry, the commodities market, and the cement business. He owns 85% of Dangote Cement, the continent's largest cement producer. You need a street? Dangote. A plot? Dangote. Dams, ports, hospitals? Dangote, dang it. From the Lokoja mines to his extraction site to his 2-mile-plus long conveyor belt, Dangote is able to sell a 110-pound sack of cement for $9, of which $6 is profit. The 200% markup adds up fast. As from January to September 2021, Dangote Cement achieved a revenue of 1.02 trillion naira, or $2.4 billion from selling 22.2 million tons of cement. That's a lot of paper generated in the amount of time it takes to make a baby. Across its factories in 10 African nations, Dangote Cement produces 48.6 million metric tons a year. The cement business is allowing the businessman to expand aggressively with his new 500-hectare, $2 billion, 3 million ton a year producing Lagos fertilizer plant, the second largest in the world of its kind. And his Dangote oil refinery is on course to be the largest of its kind on the globe once complete. Move over, Daniel Plainview. This oil man's facility is going to occupy 2,635 hectares. That's bigger than New Jersey, by the way. Theoretically, it will create a market for $11 billion per annum of Nigerian crude. This will drop Nigeria's reliance on external sources of petroleum products to zero, and the surplus it will export of its 650,000 barrels per day through its 683-mile pipeline will change the way the oil Game of Thrones is played globally. The $1.2 trillion valued 15,000 members of the Saud family better watch out. Some of those cement profits go towards pristine exotic cars, like his $1 million Mercedes Maybach 57S, which has been customized by Dusseldorf car mod company Night Luxury. The doors, hood, trunk, lid, engine cover, and body kit are all made of lightweight carbon. The underside of the chassis lights up. The front and rear aprons have some daytime running LEDs, and the German import sits on massive 24-inch wheels. Passengers in the rear have easy access to an Apple Entertainment System that includes an Apple TV module, 2 iPads, and an Apple keyboard. The black and white chessboard motif in the interior is absolutely gorgeous, and the trunk is lined with a hand-stitched diamond pattern and has a neat umbrella holder for those infamous Nigerian rainy season flash storms. Double the price of his Maybach is his $2 million Bugatti Veyron. Nothing makes you feel like a bigger big-timer than feeling that airplane-level G-force in a French-built car as you go from 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. The barely street-legal 1,001 horsepower was named after French Grand Prix driver Pierre Bugatti, who also worked in his family's oil business. Them oil boys like to stick together, I guess, even if it's just in spirit. A $310,000 Bentley Mulsanne permits its owners to keep their noses high in the air. The mostly hand-assembled automotive masterpiece is recklessly expensive and ridiculously handsome. Africa's hot. You get off the plane and it's like the heatness monster punches you right in the face. In the backseat of a Mulsanne, you get a holy trinity of air conditioning ventilators. An AC ventilator for your feet, an AC ventilator for your midsection, and an AC ventilator for your face. While many of us can only bless the rains down in Africa in the sky while playing Microsoft's Flight Simulator, Aliko glides above the clouds in a $45 million Bombardier Global Express XRS private jet. It was a gift to himself he bought for his 53rd birthday. Wow, he's pretty generous. The Montreal-manufactured aircraft seats 8 and can fly from Lagos to Hong Kong non-stop. He hits the skies in unique style, wrapped in white. Aliko often sails on the Atlantic on his luxury yacht. It is publicly rumored to be worth $43 million, but looking at the size of the boat he and his oil boys have time on, it doesn't quite have the impressive sheer magnitude the 164-foot, $50 million Lady Lee yacht has. Still, you gotta give it to the guy, he does have a yacht. And many Nigerians live in slums, and the best vehicle someone could have in a floating city like Makoko is a canoe. Sir Winston Churchill once said, "Land monopoly is not only monopoly, but it is by far the greatest of all monopolies. It is a perpetual monopoly, and it is the mother of all other forms of monopoly." Aliko plays that card close to the chest as he holds the land deeds to a great many estates and plots in Nigeria through his company MHF Properties. His all-white $30 million Abuja mansion is as good as housing gets in Nigeria. Its 20-seat single slab of wood dinner table is long enough to impress Bruce Wayne and is fitting for hosting politicians and dignitaries. The living room reminds me of a 15th century luxury castle. The bedroom, fit for a king, even the Lion King. Okay, had to get that joke out of my system. The glorious kitchen has cooked meals for such big shots as Bill Gates and former Nigerian President Goodluck Johnson. Old Bill has even been to Aliko's daughter's extravagant wedding at the Echo Hotels and Suites in Victoria Island. Mike Adenuga sits comfortably as the number 2 billionaire in Nigeria with a lucky number $7 billion net worth in 2022. The 440th richest man on earth in 2021 founded telecommunications company Globacom Limited, commonly known as Glo, which has 55 million subscribers and employs more than 3,500 people worldwide. At the beginning of 2021, Mike was worth $6.3 billion. At the time of writing, which is Valentine's Day 2022, he's $700 million richer. That's $1,711,491 a day in the last 409 days, or $71,312 an hour. That's more money in an hour than a well-paid dental hygienist makes in a year. Not bad for a man that paid for his MBA studies at Pace University in New York by driving a taxi for around $35,000 a year. That amount is adjusted for inflation, by the way. He also gets richer thanks to oil money, as his oil exploration outfit Conoil Producing operates 6 oil blocks in the Niger Delta. He has half the fortune of Aliko Dangote, but no smaller an appetite for the finer things. Mike has a lucky number 7 children with wifey Titi Joyce, and carts some of them around in an armored 505 horsepower $267,000 Bentley Mulsanne. The Armored Group LLC modifies vehicles to provide a presidential level of ballistics and explosion protection for VIPs. Although the armor that is integrated in the body increases the weight of the already heavy car dramatically, it compensates by reinforcing the suspension so the ride feels similar to the original. The work of armoring is carefully and meticulously done to preserve the integrity of the bespoke automobile's original design. If you really wanted to be safe and don't mind being a little less comfy, you could get a $479,000 Range Rover Sentinel or a $1 million Carlman King with VR8 rating. A VR8 rating means the car has 360-degree ballistic and explosive resistance. Like Aliko, he keeps a pair of Mercedeses in the garage, a $173,000 Mercedes Maybach S-Class and an $86,000 Mercedes-Benz AMG C63. Throw in your quintessential, unapologetically swanky $550,000 Rolls-Royce Phantom, and voila, you have yourself a Nigerian billionaire. Sure, 29-year-old American pop star Selena Gomez has one $7.6 million Phenom 300 private jet, but Mike Adenuga has 2 private jets of his own, a $39.9 million Bombardier Global 500 and a $47.1 million Dassault Falcon 7X. His pair of birds worth over $87 million have shelter in one of his homes. Mike owns the second most expensive private residence in Nigeria. It costs a rumored $22.2 million and is located on the deliciously named Banana Island, the Hamptons of Lagos. Even though it sounds like a level in a Super Mario game, Banana Island is exclusive AF. To get in, you have to have a code for the gate, which changes every day. Mike's estate is right by the sparkling blue Lagos Lagoon. It has a pair of watchtowers for security, 8 duplexes, an on-site mosque, a church to rival Kanye's, and a 200-person hall for respectable-sized get-togethers. In his hood, Aliko Dangote also has a res, as does Afrobeats artist Davido, writer and ex-model Linda Ikeji, and former Nigerian Senator Dr. Iyabo Obasanjo. Mike doesn't spend all his billions on himself, though. He does give through his self-titled foundation. When floods hit Bayel's estate, he gave $1.2 million. Okay, so that's less than 0.1% of his net worth, and technically, when a first-year public school teacher who makes $35,000 a year gives $20 to Greenpeace, she's actually giving more than 5 times as much in terms of generosity. But still, $1.2 million ain't chump change. Abdul Samad Rubiu's financial status is baller extraordinaire with a $6.9 billion net worth. A lot of his initial wealth was inherited from his father, Kano State-born industrialist Khalifa Iskayu Rabiu. who had several wives and 42 children. Abdul took over the family's food import-export business when he was 24, when his father was detained for duty aversion on rice imports, found out he had a real talent for commerce, and hasn't slowed down since. He got his bachelor's degree in economics from Capital University in Columbus, Ohio, a $38,928 a year for 4 years endeavor, and founded Nigeria's largest privately owned conglomerate, the BUA Group, which pulls in $2.5 billion a year. They've got their hands in cement production, flour, pasta, sugar, edible oils, rice, ports, iron, steel, billets, and real estate. Abdul Samad Rabiu is also currently the Nigerian Bank of Industry chairman, exerting influence and some veto power over its 1.04 trillion naira, or $2.5 billion US dollars of OPM, other people's money. The third richest man in Nigeria puts Santa Claus to shame in the gift-giving department. He gave the Emir of Kano, Aminu Bayero, a brand new $400,000 2021 Rolls-Royce Ghost. Not too bad. But he did miss out on being able to purchase the $442,700 2022 Black Badge variant, which has darkened exterior trimmings, hand-polished and high-gloss paintwork, black wood interior trim, a slightly more powerful 592 horsepower version of the 6.7-liter V12 engine, and a whole lot more. Don't you hate it when that happens? What gifts does Abdul Samad give himself? He's got 4 sweet as candy rides that we know about. A $132,000 Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon, a $111,000 Mercedes-Benz S-Class, an $87,000 Toyota Land Cruiser Prado SUV, and a $69,000 Range Rover Sport. Not too bad. Although if he's a carbon fiber man, he should upgrade that Range Rover Sport to the 22-inch wheeled $130,000 SVR Carbon Edition. He hangs his fancy hats in properties all around the globe. In a house in Gloucester Square in the uppity borough of Kensington and Chelsea in London worth nearly $16 million, and a penthouse near the one and only hotel in Cape Town, South Africa, worth $12.6 million. The Victoria and Alfred waterfront property has the kind of view that would make even literature's most epically unhappy figure Ernest Hemingway smile. He once famously said, "I never knew of a morning in Africa when I woke up that I was not happy." Femi Otedola's $5.9 billion fortune is thanks to revenue from Xenon Petroleum and Gas Limited, which he founded, mixed with shipping, finance, and real estate ventures. The profits go to stocking a garden variety of exotics in his garage. A jet black $160,000 Mercedes-Benz AMG G63, an obsidian black $134,000 Benz G-Wagon, a diamond silver $455,000 Mercedes SLR McLaren, a Fuji white 118 grand Range Rover Sport, a black sapphire BMW X6, and an anthracite $550,000 Rolls-Royce Phantom. His daughter, DJ Cuppy, flaunts their family wealth on Instagram. Like something out of a fairy tale, Femi took his 3 girls shopping and bought them each $227,000 Ferrari Portofino supercars, one in blue pozzi, one in a kind of root beer brown, and one in a custom bubblegum pink. Cuppy got the pink one. And she also listens to Rick Ross and Drake's Aston Martin music while shopping for Fendi bags in a drop-top hammerhead silver $142,000 Aston Martin Vantage. She's not just a taker, though. The debutante disc jockey bought her pappy a porcelain white $500,000 Rolls-Royce Phantom for Christmas. Well, that kind of evens things out, don't it? With a net worth of $5.8 billion, oilman Arthur Eze is easily Nigeria's 5th richest man in 2022. The chairman of Atlas Petroleum International Limited throws parties in his mansion where guests all dress in white, like prim and proper versions of those infamous early 2000s raves. For transport, a diamond black RR Phantom with chrome trim. He uses a cane to get out of it, looking like the Nigerian Monopoly Man. Mr. Eze is a generous man, having donated $500,000 to the Tertiary Institution, had an $800,000 school built in the South Sudan, and gave $12 million to the Anglican Church. Folerunchu Alakija Ikoyi is the richest woman in Nigeria, as well as one of the richest in all of Africa with a $1 billion fortune. The African queen is often compared to $3.5 billion American TV tycoon Oprah Winfrey, but Foleruncho's got her own rich people problems going on. Her net worth dropped by a whopping $800 million in the last year. That's a little under $2.2 million a day for 365 days, but that hasn't stopped construction on her 260 billion naira, or $700 million US dollar, sub-Saharan home. German construction company Julius Berger is building a one-of-a-kind semicircular 3-story luxury mansion for the oil juggernaut. You can't go inside the bulletproof Ikoyi Crescent residence yet, as it's not quite ready, so for now she and hubby, Modupe Alakija, park their Mercedes-Benz S-Classes and G-Wagons in a $102 million property at One Hyde Park in London. Yes, owning 60% of Famfa Oil, which owns land which contains in excess of 1 billion barrels of oil, has its perks. Lavish weddings are another way Foloruncho blows money fast. Her son Foladin Alakija's wedding to Iranian model Nazanin Jafar in Gasarafar in Blenheim Palace in Woodstock, Oxfordshire, England cost her $8.3 million. This strikes me as a wedding that was all about the groom's mother by design. She probably flew out to the UK in her $46 million Global Express SRS private jet. That baby flies up to 590 miles per hour and can charter from London International to LAX non-stop. That's 12-hour transcontinental flight easy. It has an elegant dining area, enough legroom for Dikembe Mutombo, cozily seats 14, and has a sleeping cabin. No sleeping on a stranger's shoulder for these Nigerian blue bloods. Orji Uzor Kalu used to be a billionaire, worth $2.3 billion in 2019, slid down a razor blade into an alcohol river. As the chairman of Slock Holding, the Daily Sun, and New Telegraph newspapers is now worth $330 million. How do you lose $1.97 billion in 3 years? He fought the law, and the law sort of won. Orji did a 12-month prison bid for a $20.9 million fraud case. The presiding judge also ordered Slock Nigeria Limited to be wound up and his assets forfeited to the federal government. He's out now, though, still a Nigerian senator, and running for president in 2023. Things are a little different over in the US. You can't even get a job as a bank teller if you were convicted of a crime. Campaigning for major office ain't cheap, so luckily he still has a few coins in the bank to get started. He rests his head in his Abbey Estate country home called Camp Nea, complete with swimming pool, tennis court, statues, its own fuel depot, gazebo, and an old-school golf field. Sir Clement Oluwatomininyu Okewo left medicine to make bank in the construction biz. Although he is rumored to be worth $90.3 billion, we don't have an official Forbes figure on his wealth. Could it be he's the African Great Gatsby? Maybe. But if he is, the $481,000 Bentley Mulsanne extended wheelbase he bought himself for his 52nd birthday is hiding it real well. This car, which is more of a small limousine, was the 13th to roll out of the prestigious Crew factory and carries with it 9.8 inches of more legroom in the back seat. He parks the impossibly opulent 1 of 50 limited edition ride in a $9.6 million 16-bedroom mansion in Parkview Estate in Ikoyi, Lagos, known as Palacio de Okiowo. The Knight of the Anglican Church had the estate built on 5 acres of land. The chairman of the Gibraltar Group spends his days sitting on ridiculous chairs, collecting Rolls Royces, he has a lucky number 7 of them, hosting dinners at a dinner table that seats 22, playing on his home tennis court, and swimming in his vast swimming pool. Oh, and like Family Guy's Persian birds, Olu wants you to pay attention to his massive statue-guarded fountain in the driveway on your way to church, which is in his house. Africa has almost 1.4 billion inhabitants in 2022 and only 18 billionaires, giving you just under 1 in a billion odds that an African citizen will be a billionaire. 4 of Africa's 54 countries are home to billionaires: Nigeria, which has 8, South Africa and Egypt, which have 5 each, and Morocco, which has 3. Their total combined net worths amount to $84.9 billion, a little less than a third of what South African-born Elon Musk is worth.